You can stop it, Joel. That gets me every time. But I hope you see in practice what I talked about in theory. I like how he started, or partway through, he said, the Bible's a big book. Where do we start? And that's the same thing our kids are wondering too. Or maybe you as a parent, that's part of the reality. Man, where do I start with my young ones? Where do I start with my grandkids? Genesis 1:1 and go. You just saw an example of how you can point to Christ, bring it back to the gospel. It's there, every page it's there. From seed to tree, all centers on Jesus Christ. And then build on that. Now, there are some really good resources. I showed you that book. Parents and grandparents alike. We're a little slower as a family. Some other families are. I said, I feel good as a dad if I get 3 family devotion times in a week. Yes, I feel good about that. Maybe you can aim for more than that, but this is what we're doing in our home. You can read chronologically through the whole Bible if you stick to it in about 3 or 4 times a week, Old and New. What these 2 books are, this is the Old Testament, this is the New Testament. And basically it's a Bible reading plan with 3 or 4 discussion questions. I love this as a dad. For us, there's read it whenever you want with your kids. For us right now, they're young enough, it works great at dinner, so we plop this down usually while they're finishing up, or I give them sugar to keep them there at the table a little bit longer. We read, it gives you here's Genesis day 1 for week 4. It's about Cain and Abel. Read Genesis 4, 1 through 5, and then here are the kind of questions. What kind of work did Abel do? What kind of work did Cain do? Why would they give an offering to God? What about us? Do we ever bring offerings to the Lord? And I love day 3 is always, let's connect it to Jesus. Where's the gospel? Because we lose it in the Old Testament a lot, right? We miss it. That's the Old Testament. This is the New. Fabulous. And the wonderful thing is these can stand alone. Grandparents, you can do this with the grandchild. If you get them once a week or even semi-irregularly, give this to as a present. Parents, you can do this with kids. And I find this works for a pretty good spectrum. For right now, it works for me with our 8 down to 2-year-old. Our 2-year-old's got the God answer pretty good. My 3-year-old's just starting to pick up some of the details of the story. But the 8 and the 5 are really, it's hitting sweet spots with them. This accompanies a curriculum that we use on Sunday mornings at our church that teaches chronologically through the Bible, centered on Christ. Some parents are trying to track with that, some are not. But that's where I want to start as a church and at home with kids, and that's my encouragement as well. When you get to for this place, for Calvary, when you get to the point of saying, all right, what's next? Actually, I'll hold the what's next for a moment. For the adults, this is for you. This is my favorite book on understanding the big picture of the Bible, Grammy Goldsworthy. First couple chapters are a little academic. So if you get this and have a hard time, skip to chapter 3 or 4 and you're golden. If you're serving in my ministry at Grace Church, I'll say God's ministry that I get to steward, you get a copy of this. I spend hundreds of dollars I've given Grammy a lot of money. And we literally have bookshelves of these, and literally I give them out like water. Read this. I need you to understand this so that you can teach it well to our young people, and this is a requirement. So the what's next piece, I mentioned big picture first, systematic theology next. So let's say you get to the place, we've got a ministry for our parents at Grace called Foundations. Bring them in for a Sunday, give them a resource and say, we want you to be doing this in your home, systematic theology piece. So if you've got kids in the 1st through 3rd grade range, I'm going to give you this. Again, we buy this book as a church. I underwrite about $15,000 a year in my budget just to buy books for. Normally, if I'm speaking like this with parents at Grace Church, I have a table right there with all these books on it, literally stacked. And I said, you can take one on the way out, because I know about 1 out of 10 of you will go and buy 1 or 2 of these books, and that's it. But if I put all of these over there for you right now, guaranteed you'll take them, and at some point you'll use some or all of them at home when the occasion calls for it. So this is 1st through 3rd graders. I say, parents, teach your kids the basics of Christianity. That's this. The Gospel for Children. 6 lessons. Some parents do it in a 6-week chunk. Right away, maybe they're in between. They've got a slower season of life. They do it then. Some take 1 every month for 6 months and spread it out. Some do it in small groups as a family. This is what we're going to do as a small group for our series. If you've got a 4th through 6th grader, we're moving you up a little bit. Bite-sized theology. Parent-child, read this together, talk through it. We've got some, each of these we have some Bible study basically we give parents that they work through, and then this is kind of a supplement piece. And then if you are middle school through high school, we move up to Essentials of the Christian Faith by Sproul's. These are, I like to call this bathroom reading, in the sense of they're short chapters, page or 2, 5 minutes each, but they have to be, he's got 100 of them in here. But these are the basic doctrines of Scripture, right? Watch your life and your doctrine closely, and doctrine's just a word for what we believe. So this is one. So as I talked about, big picture, we could spend some time talking a whole evening about teaching kids systematic theology. There's a need and a place for that as well. Biblical worldview, we're getting in this realm with that. Just wanted, we all want the how-to and the resources to do it. So here are some of those. I'll leave them up here if you want to come peek at them, you can.